Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Elevate Your Equity podcast, where investors with a special emphasis on couples begin, continue, and deepen their journey to financial freedom together using the powerful vehicle of real estate investing to do it. Today, we have an amazing couple, Jim and Francesca. They're the founding members of Niveau and Partners Capital. They have been investing in real estate since 2002, and they realized the power of real estate investing after purchasing their first home, rehabbing and leveraging it to purchase their first investment property. They're currently partnered in 75 units and actively looking to acquire properties in Huntsville, Alabama, and Piedmont Triad in North Carolina. This was an amazing podcast. This couple, they're just so honest, down to earth, and our conversation together was so fun and so authentic.
Yeah, we had a great time learning about how they started up their journey, going from, I don't want to say a nightmare property from the beginning, but they purchased a vacation home and started renting it out right around the time of the market crash. I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but it's a great story, how they transitioned from that to moving into multifamily investing in later years. And I just love that the track that they're on. They are looking to set some real legacy wealth up for their family. And I think that you guys are going to take away a lot from this, especially from those who are just starting out and maybe even transitioning from the single family to the multifamily world.
Absolutely. And it's worth listening to the very end. So we hope you enjoy.
Yeah. And without further ado, let's bring them on. All right, Francesca and Jim, thank you guys so much for being on the show. How are you today?
We are great. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you, guys. Excited about the show.
Yes, we're so happy to have you guys here. Why don't you start with a little bit of a background about you guys? How did you start investing in real estate, and take us to where you are right now?
Yeah, so that's an interesting journey. We started, I want to say real estate started for us when we first bought our first home. So that was back in 2002. I mean, I remember going to the broker and they said, okay, so what are you looking for in a home? And we said, let's just find the ugly house in a great neighborhood. And they said, oh, that's not what normal people come and look for. They look for the home.
She laughed and just thought we weren't serious, you know?
Yeah, they come for rehabbed homes, you know? I said, well, no, we're different. We want the ugly home in the nice neighborhood. So
it's spoken like a true investor. I love that.
Yes. So the funny thing is when we pulled up to this house, the first thing we saw was the siding, and the siding was like, I want to say it was probably a faded red, which was pink at this point, all overgrown trees and bushes. And we were like, it had great property. And we were like, this is the house. When we went inside, what we saw was dark panels, and the floors were painted, the basement floors, which it was a raised ranch. So the basement floors were painted gray, and it was just like, okay, it had a beautiful piece of property. It had great bones. This is the house. So we ended up buying this home, and we knew that if we were to rehab this home, that we would definitely create some equity. So we did that. And so when we bought the home, it took us a couple of years. Jim put a lot of sweat equity in the house. We hired finishers to finish the home. It took probably about 4 or 5 years to complete.
Yeah, for everything to be.
For everything, soup to nuts. We're
landscape.
Talking inside, outside, plumbing, electrical.
Total gut.
Yeah,
Total
total
gut.
inside, outside, everything. And so in the meanwhile, within those 5 years, we are both W-2 workers. So our tax burden was becoming a problem for us. That was a pain point. So we went to our accountant. We asked, hey, what can we do to possibly offset some of the tax? He said, why don't you invest in real estate? So we're like, oh, interesting. Where do we do that? We got a little shiny object syndrome. We said, why don't we go on vacation, go do something where we could vacation, right? So where can we do that? And we said, let's do that in Florida.
Yeah, besides being, coming in New York, it's just hard. It's very expensive. Taxes are expensive. So, just starting off being married, we just bought our first house, and we really couldn't afford much. So, we had to really think about where we could spend our time and
use our money wisely, right? So it was a lot cheaper to do it down there, and at the same time we were getting a vacation. So we did that. So it helped us for the first couple of years, and then we had kids. And we couldn't make it there as often. So we thought to ourselves, okay, what do we do now? So we said, why don't we rent it? We rented it, and it was paying for itself, but barely, right? We still had to put some money. So we're like, okay. We had purchased this property in Florida in 2007. The interest rates were 6.5%. So it was okay. Now we're like fast forward probably 4 years later, the interest rates had dropped significantly. So we went back to thinking, okay, that investment we made, the right investment we made with our single family home, how can we leverage that to pay for this property? So we had gained equity in our property, our single family. So we're able to leverage it, cash out, refi our home, and purchase a place in Florida and go from 6.5% to 3.5% interest rate. So now we're cash flowing. So we knew exactly what it felt like to have passive income monthly and a cash flow. So we came to the point where we were both maxed out of our W-2 careers and jobs. And how can we create more passive income? You know, we have 2 kids, they're both college age now. And it was like, we were doing everything we could to save money, right? Save money for college, save money for retirement.
Nothing left for us.
But there was nothing left for us. It was like, okay, how can we create a life that we want to live and some passive income to do that? So when we looked at portfolio, it was like we had some stocks. Yeah, they were doing not all right, but not always so great. And anything we made, we had to pay more tax on it. And we wanted to kind of get away from that. But then when we looked at the passive income we were making with our one property in Florida, we're like, and it had a tax advantage. We were like, how can we do this multiple times? And so that's when we started our journey with educating ourselves with multifamily. Yeah.
Excellent.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, thank you.
Very
Took the
well
words
said.
right out of my mouth.
Very good. I just a follow-up question. It seems minor, but I'm just curious. When you did that cash out refi from 6.5% down to 3 something, right, on that rental property in Florida.
Yeah.
Let me just get this straight. You pulled out equity and you also reduced, so you pulled out cash and you also reduced your debt payment at the same time. Is that correct? Is that how that worked?
It's called the power of real estate.
That's
Incredible.
the leverage. And right there, I'm glad you brought that up. That was also when it clicked for us that there was power in real estate, right? There was power even in your single family home. If you buy it, it's all about buying it right.
Mm-hmm.
And we bought in a hot market. I'm not going to say we didn't. It was a hot market. We bought back in 2007
is when we closed.
No. Our single family home.
Oh, 2002.
We bought back in 2002. So it was a hot market. But still, we bought it right because we had to buy that ugly house.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Thank you, guys. Let's talk about some of the early days, right? Because I know you kind of alluded at the fact that there were some times or there was some point in time where you're like, this isn't cash flowing. It's not working out well. I know that when you're first getting started and you're seeing that something doesn't quite work out, or it's not what you expect it to be, right? And you're not making enough money on this, or it's just not meeting your expectations, or it's not what you envisioned it to be. What were those conversations like at home? Were you guys both kind of looking at like, I don't know if we want to do this, or was there any one of you that was kind of like, no, let's stick with it, let's do it? Or what was that dynamic at home like during that?
So that's actually a great question, because when we first got into it in 2007, we're about to close, there were many people backing out of the deal and they were losing their down payment, which was a substantial amount of money. So we said, what do we do? I mean, it's common sense. Real estate's always been there and people have success from it. So we decided to stick with it and use it as a secondary home for vacation. And from there, it kind of worked itself out organically.
Well, we weren't going to let it just like
slip out of our hands and waste our money, So we made it work. We were using it as a vacation spot. Our kids love going down there, but there come to a point where it's like you're stuck going there and doing that all the time. So it kind of got played out in a sense. And we said to ourselves, we have to structure ourselves where we could make this work for us without going down there. So we became accidental landlords by doing that.
Right.
And we leveraged our house here, like we said, we refinanced that, and now all of a sudden we're starting to make money off it. It started cash flowing.
Yeah.
And then it's like the wheels start turning, and it's like, well, what else can we do now to have some passive income? And like Francesca said, we started educating ourselves, and it's been an unbelievable journey so far for us.
So I think to get back to your question too, though, about what the conversation was at home, it was like, it was almost becoming like a burden, right? It was just like this place in Florida is like, we're not getting there. We're still putting some money into it. So it's like, we really had to get creative,
right,
and say, where are we going to get this from and how are we going to do this? So, realizing what our home was worth. So we had a conversation with our realtor, and we said, could you just let us know, what is our home worth right now? And so when we found that out, we were just like, okay, we have equity here, because the best part about real estate is that you're living there, but you're paying down your debt as well, right? So not only is our principal going down, but our equity has gone up. So how could we utilize that? So that's when we said, you know what, this was the avenue. And then we spoke to mortgage brokers, and mortgage brokers were like, yes, this is possible. So, so the conversation was, do we sell it? If we sell it, we're going to lose, because we bought back in 2007. We were not going to lose. So we're going to have to keep it and figure it out. So
I love that, you guys. And one thing that I picked up on that maybe you guys didn't even pick up on, and probably the audience, I'm not sure if they did or not, but every time you were making a decision or you're talking about this, it's we. There's no I in here. It's not right. I made the decision or you did this or that. I love that we. I love that emphasis on we. And so just wanted to point that out, that it's something I caught there, which is great.
I absolutely agree. And I love the fact that you guys are on the same page and decided to be the we from the very beginning. And I'm curious too, you said, hey, we're working full-time W-2s. You have 2 little kids, and then you're investing out of state, correct? And how, kind of paint a picture of how you guys juggled all of that back then.
It wasn't easy, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't easy, but you see the future, it's just like the cost of living up here in New York, thinking about our children and going to college and, our taxes and, all that good stuff. So we're like,
bad stuff.
Well, yeah. Well,
good stuff and bad. Yeah.
So like, how can we make more money? And, being W-2 workers, you're on a limited income. So, I was working a lot of overtime. I was working doubles. I was working triples. I was making good money, but now I'm putting more time to make money, and I said to myself, there's got to be an easier way. I don't want to have to work so hard for my money. I want my money to work hard for me. So that's where we started educating ourselves, and we got into deals, LP wise, and making money passively that way.
I think that the question was, what did it look like at home with the kids and stuff like that with the property in Florida? Mm-hmm. So that was interesting because, we had tenants in Florida. We didn't have a management company because it was just one place.
I was a manager.
So he was the management company, right?
Oh boy.
So yeah. So that's where his forte comes in, because I was not good with getting the vendors, well, whatever the vendors you want to call them, mm-hmm. well, the contractors or the HVAC people, and the tenant was
just dealing with the tenant alone.
So he was great at that. So that's what it looked like at home. I would work with the broker to get the tenant in and vet the tenant, but then he would deal with the tenant, mm-hmm. right? So
it wasn't fun in the beginning, but it was a learning process.
Yeah.
And
So he's the great one when it comes to.
Oh wow, thank you.
When it comes to getting the people together between the tenant, if I had an air conditioning problem, getting the air conditioning HVAC guy out there to fix it, getting the tenant on board, or if there was a delivery or change of rug or delivery for a new stove, whatever it may be, he did all that. So.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
Well, you learn as you go, right? Well, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. You just wing it and you figure it out.
Yeah,
and that's right. I just have to say that I have a lot of respect for you doing that, Jim, because handling and coordinating tenants while you're afar is really difficult, especially if you have the knowledge to be able to fix things, right? Like yourself as a contractor, right? As a licensed contractor. You send vendors out there, but then you have to coordinate with the tenants, and sometimes the access doesn't work if they're not home, and then you have to have them come back, and all of that administrative things, like that takes a lot of time, and it's urgent too. It's definitely things that need to be addressed right away. So if you're in the middle of something, you've got to take care of that. So I have a lot of respect.
Priority.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for you having kids, a W-2 job, and being a property manager at the same time on this first one. And so that's why I was so interested on that first one where you kind of cut your teeth and got kind of familiar with all the dimensions of how rental real estate works on the very first one. So congratulations to you on that. Now,
Thank you.
I wanted to transition here. You mentioned that after that first family rental, and obviously this is years later, right? This is after kids have grown up and a lot of the urgency has kind of fallen away. You have kids that are now sleeping at night and you can catch some sleep yourself.
Right.
Now you can concentrate on real estate again. And when you pick the ball back up, this time you went with passive syndications, right? Or investing in limited partnerships. Or at least there's a transition period there where maybe you're doing some single families and then some syndications as well. Can you talk about what that transition was like and what those conversations were like at home in terms of switching the strategy up?
Well, to start off, it's all mindset, right? You have to, when you have limited beliefs too, when especially, getting into limited partner deals, you don't know much about it. So like anything else, you have to do your due diligence, right? And the more you look into it, the more comfortable you feel with the people, the more networking you're doing, you meet a good sponsor, right? And we had faith in one sponsor.
As far as our journey, right, to get there, I think also
Let's
was,
go rewind a little bit.
yeah, let's rewind.
Educating ourselves.
So our journey,
Due diligence
the
part.
journey to get there was, the conversation at home was, we need more passive income. So how are we going to do it? So we ended up educating ourselves and listening to podcasts and reading books. But then at that point, it was like, okay, but we're not taking any action. How do we do this and take action? So I remember I said to my husband, I said, there's going to be a multifamily conference back in 2019 in Orlando, Multifamily Mastery Live 3 with Jake and Gino. I said, let's go. Right. And so he was like, yeah, you think so? I said, yeah, let's do it. So we did. We got there. And from that moment on, I have to say, our whole mindset, because now we were with people that were actually doing multifamily. It wasn't just like, we would go to meetups, and sometimes meetups were confusing because who was doing single family, who was doing duplexes. So it was just like, oh, what lane do I stay in? But then when we went to the conference, it was like, this is where we belong, multifamily. And we were networking with like-minded people. And so from there on, we decided, okay, if we can't just let it end at this conference, how else can we create a network of people? And so we decided we needed a mentor. So we decided to get a mentorship. And so we joined the Jake and Gino mentorship, which has definitely changed our mindset, like Jim was saying, and it's changed our life basically, and what we're doing in our journey for multifamily. So in the meanwhile, we all know finding deals is not easy. It's a task, and we're in that task day to day, but it's not easy. So we still needed a lot to learn. So that's when we get into the LP. So if you want to speak about that a little bit.
Yeah. So we met our sponsor. He's part of our community as well. He's a deal expert, and we gained relationship with him. And he came out with a couple deals, and how he presented himself. And he's a family guy. He's a father. He's a husband. He's a mentor, and he's been in the business for a while. It wasn't his first deal. He had multiple deals. He had multiple properties under his belt. And so we had that comfort now with him because we got to know him,
Through the network.
Through networking and through
Right.
our community. And just having that comfort changed our whole mindset. And so we wanted to get in the deal. We spoke about it, although we have children now just about to go to college, we were like, we have to get into it. So we got into it. It's a 43 unit class B++ in York, Pennsylvania. Beautiful building, totally remodeled a few years before he purchased it. And it was just a great deal. It had great returns. And so we just pulled the lever and we got into it. And it's been great ever since. It changed the way we look at real estate, and it's either active or passive. There's multiple ways to get in, and it's been a great journey, and it's been doing really well for us.
Yeah. And so even being a part of that group and investing passively, it was also about being credible, right? Getting a credibility too. So how can we do that as well? And how can we make our money work for us? So that was a great way to to do that because, again, we're W-2 workers. We could definitely go get another job and make our money work for us that way, and work harder for our money. How can we make our money work for us? So this was a great way, not just to learn, but also to
earn as you learn.
Earn as we learned, right? So we're excited about that. So that was our first deal, and that was last year. And then we are currently on with another deal as a JV, and this one is a
34.
It was a 32 unit at first. So it was a fractured condominium that we purchased that it was 36 units in all. So I'll give you the story behind that one. That was, the owner had built it to sell in 2007. He only sold 4. He was selling condominiums, he only sold 4. Then the mortgage crisis hit, couldn't sell anymore, so he rented the rest. So he became a landlord, which he just wanted to be a builder and build and sell. And so he kept it for a bit. And then in 2015, he stopped building. And in 2015, he built the rest. And then
36 altogether.
36 altogether. And he became a landlord. And he didn't want, I guess this isn't what his path was, would be a landlord. So he ended up putting it on the market. One of our partners found it. I think a lot of people shy away from deals like that are fractured condominiums. But the fact that it was already taken over, the HOA was taken over by the ownership, it was a great deal. And so we bought 32 back in March, just past March. And we just recently found out that we acquired 2 more of the condos from 2 of the owners. So now we have 34 of the 36. So yeah, and it was a great deal. They are all 1,100 square feet, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, beautiful condos that are, between the age of 2007 and 2015. So they're really, really nice looking on the interior and the exterior. And yeah, so our one of our partners found it. It took him a while to get it under contract, or actually take it over the line after contract. But yeah, so we're really humble and grateful to be part of this one because it's an amazing deal.
And it's in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh, hot market. Great.
So it's a hot market. And
Yeah.
Sam, what you bought it for?
The property, a condos in the area going for about 107 to 110,000 a unit. We got it for 88 a unit.
Wow.
Great
Yeah.
deal.
Amazing.
Fantastic. I was going to ask you how you found it, but it sounds like it was all off market and just hard work by one of your partners. That's amazing.
It was hard work by one of our actually 2 of our partners, but yeah, it was really hard work. And it's all about your power of network. That's part. Yeah.
100%.
That's the important part.
And that's another relationship that we've built with the community, networking with the different investors, and just staying in touch with everybody and networking. And over a year and a half, they asked us to come in, and we're so grateful for that. And there's more in the pipeline as well. It's just like a snowball effect now. They just keep on coming.
Oh,
So,
wow, guys. Congratulations. That is absolutely
thank you.
wonderful. And Jim, earlier you mentioned the word mindset.
Yeah.
And looking back on your journey, to present day, a lot of our listeners are young couples starting out, and they may or may not be on the same page when it comes to investing. But what advice would you guys have to give to these, new young couples who are trying to learn how to invest? And then what mindset principles can you pass along that will help them make them as successful as you guys are?
Well, the first thing I could say is you got to read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Robert Kiyosaki. I read that later in life, and that actually changed my whole mindset. It just changed my whole thinking of
Finances.
Finances. There's more to life than just work and what's out there. So I would say start off with that. Start educating yourself. Read some books, especially Rich Dad Poor Dad first. Surround yourself, with like-minded people, because your proximity is who you are. And you have to educate yourself. You have to get yourself a mentor. You could try, you could Google stuff and look into how you could do it yourself, but it's either pay to play or seek to serve, right? If you educate yourself in it, listen to your podcast, read some books, get a mentor, you'll take that avenue to where success is.
Yeah, and I even think mindset has to do with, sometimes we get into real estate and we think, oh, everyone's doing it, so it's happening for them. How come it's not happening for me? And I think it's all about persistence. It took us a while. We started in 2002 with our single family house. Yes, it took us some time to figure it out, by the time we joined a network and became a part of it, it took a lot of persistence, a lot of networking, a lot of meetups, and so it takes time, a lot of calling brokers, whatever it was, or direct to seller. We have different ways that we're trying to create deal flow, but it takes time. It takes time. And it's all about being patient, which sometimes I could be a little impatient, I must say. And it's persistence. It's patience and persistence. So if you have those two, eventually something will pop.
Francesca, I think you and I are cut from the exact same cloth, because I've used those exact words many times with a lot of people who are starting out that are asking me how to get involved in all this. And I think what both of you guys said is just completely dead on, 100%. I think that, to recap what you said, for people that are starting out, it's all about what you get in is what you get out. And that includes your time and money. I mean, think about it, right? If you show up to a coaching program and you pay them $5 for the entire year, how serious are you going to take that? If you pay them $50,000, that's something different, right? You're going to be really hanging on every word, and you're going to be wanting to execute on that because you're invested. So you have to be invested in not only the knowledge, right, but also the time commitment and all of the relationships you have to build. And you have to be determined enough to understand that real estate investing is not the microwave method to wealth. It's the crock pot.
That's right.
Very important for our listeners to understand that. Mm-hmm.
It's a marathon, right? Not a sprint.
You got it, 100%. So I just wanted to underscore that again, because what you guys said was dead on. And it's so important for the listeners to understand that. I wanted to go back one more time before maybe we talk about more mindset things. I still like the real estate side. Sophie likes the mindset side. We'll figure it out either way. Back when you guys were looking to do your first LP deal, right? This means, for the listeners out there, this means that you're basically providing cash to an operator that has an offering an apartment complex somewhere across the country, and you get an equity slice of that. So you own a small fractional piece of that building. There's a lot of paperwork to jump through and all that, but definitely worth it, especially for the right person. Let me ask you guys, once you guys got educated, right? How did that conversation go? Or what was the educational process like, from understanding what Jake and Gina was doing at that meetup to you guys finally pulling the trigger and sitting down at that closing table, or sitting down at your dining room table and getting ready to initiate the wire and send that out? Because that's a lot of money. It's like $30,000 to $50,000, right? That you're sending at least out to the investment. What was that like? Bring us back to that time, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was nerve-wracking.
Our first intention was this, right? We want to be active investors. Mm-hmm. How can we be an active investor? Okay, it's not that easy. So in order to, I guess, create some sort of income and earn while we learn, the best part was let's try it passively. Why not? We're going to gain credibility. We're going to earn while we learn. Was it easy to send it over? Not really. Not really. It was not. But we said, let's pull the trigger and let's just do it. We knew we knew who we were dealing with. We did our due diligence. I think that's so important.
Sure.
And we weren't just investing in the deal. We were investing in the people, right? It was the people. It was their track record as well. So that was the most important part to us, that the deal looked fantastic. It was beautiful, but the people were even better. So so that's what it looked like. But we did go back and forth a little bit. Like, we could be using this for our own capital for our own deal. But this one deal we got into is compounding 10 times more.
So great. Thank you guys for sharing. I know that the listeners out there need to hear that, because man, pulling the trigger on something that you control yourself is one thing, but man, when you're about to hand money over, like, and a lot of money, that's, $30,000 to $50,000 or even more, that's a lot, but it's money well spent.
So this deal was a 50,000 minimum up to 200,000 to get into this deal. And touching back on what she said, it fit our criteria. We knew of the person, of the sponsor. He was a member of our community. It was, like I said, he's a family guy. He's been in the business for a while, and he wasn't a new operator. And we just knew him personally. I have his cell phone number, right? So there's a connection. There's a trust factor now, and a comfort zone. So once you have all that, you put it all together, it kind of fits what you want to do. And we want to do it. And we've learned off it too, of how he's operating and what he's doing. So he has calls every quarter on what's happening and, the balance sheets and all that. So you learn a lot from it. And it definitely was something great that we did.
It's a great learning experience.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that for all the listeners out there, something I wanted to highlight too on what you said was that by partnering with someone that has experience that you trust, you get to watch how they operate. You get to see how a real professional runs a property, right? And then the other thing is that was implicitly stated too from you guys is that, when you make the shift from single family to multifamily, it's about networking and it's about trust. The more trust there is and the bigger your network is, that's going to translate directly to everyone's success, not only yours, but everyone else's. And so I think that's why it's super important to play nice with others, but also know your stuff too, because this is a lot of money on the line, right?
And multifamily is a team sport. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it yourself, but you really need other people who are who know different. They have different niches, and they have their own.
It's a team sport. It's in a relationship business, 100%.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
love that. All right, cool. Well, let's move on. Maybe Sophie, you want to ask something?
Yeah, and like Derek said, I love the mindset piece. I love giving our listeners kind of a peek behind the curtain on, what you guys do on a daily basis. Maybe you guys can walk us through like your morning routines and what you do to keep yourself energized, refueled, refreshed, to keep yourselves going and keeping the momentum going to, stay on this whole crazy real estate investing journey.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that you always have a purpose. And so we start with our purpose. And what is our purpose? Our purpose is our children. When we think about them, we want to be able to create a legacy for them. We want to be able to teach them a different way of making passive income or a different stream of income, whether if they want to become a doctor, engineer, whatever it may be. But if I could teach them another way, another passive way of income, that's one of my purposes. Another purpose is to be able to enjoy our life eventually when we do retire. So if we could plant that seed now and then watch it grow, because like you said before, Derek, that it doesn't happen overnight. This isn't like a get rich quick type of thing. This is it's slow and steady wins the race. So if we start now, by the time we do plan on our retirement, at least we'll have something that has prospered and become worth more and give us more passive income. So I think for me, it starts with my purpose for sure, my why.
So every morning when I wake up with a grateful heart. I wake up with a grateful heart. I thank God every day for all the things in life that He's brought me and my children, my family. I read my devotionals and I just stay focused on my goals. What do I have to do in life? Where do I have to go? Who do I need to call today? What avenue to take? And so I stay focused on, what I really need to do. There's so many different things, so many different paths you can take in a day. But once you stay focused on your main goal, your why, is what leads you to success. So that'll bring you to the path that you need to be.
Yeah.
Love that, you guys. And can you only imagine like what this is doing to your kids too and your legacy? I mean, just them watching you go through this experience, right? Like it's a long-term game, and just seeing the changes that you guys are making ever so slightly every day to do the best you can and be grateful. I love that.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And plus, like my parents, her parents, they're on fixed incomes. They worked hard all their life. And they have a set amount of monies that they have, so you're limited to what you could do. And I'm not knocking it, they do live their life comfortable, whatever it is. But we want more than that. There's so much more in life than just, working your 25, 30 years in your W-2 and collecting your pension. I'm grateful that we both have pensions. I have an annuity as well. But I'm not setting my future on like guaranteed, like it's always going to be there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I want to set our future to be be financially free, not putting a number on that. It's not all about, how much money you want to make. It's just like, we want to do what we want when we want. That's what I see our future doing. So, and to get into the real estate, it's been a great thing for us. It's a great vehicle to get into because you always need a place to live, right? You always need a place to live. And like our mentors say, you need food, you need water, and you need apartments, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to live.
Love it. Fantastic, you guys.
I have a question in terms of like what do you think your kids have picked up, and like how do you think you've influenced them and set the stage for that legacy piece?
So the kids love it. Honestly, we got them into the deal. The 34 unit that we have, we got them in. We took some of their money and we got them in a deal. So they see a bright future from that. You know, they're going to see that passive income coming in. So from there, it's going to be a spiral effect. Now, okay, I want to make a little bit more money. You know, so how can I do that? Mom, Dad, can you help us? Yeah, come educate yourself and take the path that we're showing them, the path that we're taking. So they're interested enough. They're gonna come on the
So
come on the
so
path
I mean,
with us.
they do, and they see us, right? They see what we're doing. That we're not in our 40s, just like staying stagnant, right? We are continuing to grow. And I think that's the best part about showing my kids. That's also a why of mine. You don't just stay in one place. You need to continue to grow. It doesn't matter how old you are. Continue to grow, continue to learn. We're always learning. And when I was younger, someone would say, you does that analogy, like you never stop learning. And it didn't make sense to me at the time, but now it does. You never should stop learning. You should always grow. And so they see that. So they see us getting out of our comfort zone. That's number one. I mean, coming on a podcast, that's not something that we would normally
This is
do.
not typical. And this is taking me out of my comfort zone.
Completely. I mean,
So it's
for him to be here,
yeah.
I mean, let's just say like, I'm going to say kudos to you, Jim.
But listen,
because-
but I like to give back too. And I like to, I mean, you know, being W-2 workers, I want people to hear this and to say, wow, they could do it. I could do it. I'm a construction worker and my wife's a teacher. So, I mean, if we could do it, I mean, we're doing it together and we're definitely great partners. Anybody could do it.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just your educated people, your physicians, your lawyers, construction worker, teacher.
Yeah.
You could do it.
Yeah.
You guys, that is so fantastic. I love that message. Thank you guys for opening up your hearts and telling it like it is right now in your lives. And that's really great. Very inspirational. I kind of felt that as well
Yeah,
here.
so grateful beyond belief that you guys are here and on our podcast. So thank you.
I appreciate you guys having us here.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit more, right? I want to get into, maybe while we have about 15 minutes left here, I want to get into some of the reality parts. I know we've been talking about positivity and mindset, but I also want to talk about some tough moments that maybe you had faced, right? If you had to put anything on it, would you say would be the darkest hour or the toughest moment that you guys faced in your personal or your business life when it comes to real estate investing?
I think the darkest was when we bought our place in Florida. It was because you have to remember 2008, people, like he said, people were backing out.
Mhm.
People were backing out of their deals. So when we would go to our place in Florida, it was a condominium. It was brand new. It was beautiful. But there was like no one in there. It was like, it was us. And it was like maybe a few other scatterings, right? So it was like, we would say to ourselves, did we make the right decision? So that was a little scary, right? And so the interesting thing is that I'm going to go back to mindset right now because I'm with you, Sophie. It's all about that too.
Truly is.
The interesting thing is that we have to always look at it and say, I don't say, why does this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Like, we were young, maybe we made a mistake. But why is this happening for me?
You're going to have challenges in life.
Why is it happening for me? There's a reason why I'm here. And now that I look back in hindsight, I could see that reason. I mean, I saw what it could do for us. So that dark moment I remember being at the pool with the kids in the condo in Florida. We were the only ones there. It was like it was our own resort.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
So it was like, did we make the right decision? That was our darkest moment. And there was a little fear in there. But we kept at it.
There was a light at the end of the tunnel.
And we figured it out. And I think in any situation, if you can stick with it and be creative, and you'll figure it out. And you'll definitely learn lessons from it. So we learned a lot from that one dark moment.
I can imagine. Now, what did you guys depend on for each other during this? Like, what were those conversations like? Was someone going down the dark route and other one's like, well, it just is what it is. We got to deal with it. Just to peel back another layer, what did that conversation sound like when you made that realization?
So basically your question is like your conversation. You have to talk about it. What can we do? How are we going to make this work? Should we make this work? It all depends on you. I mean, do you want to give up? I don't give up no matter what it is. And I teach my children that as well. And I said, we're going to stick through it. I'm not wasting my money. I'm invested in here and we're going to make it work. So come to be, the economy got a little bit better and the interest rates dropped. And so we're like, okay, now let's try this. Let's use our house. Our house is all done up, let's take the money out of our house, the equity out of our house. We'll pay that off and we'll take it to the next level. We'll see how that goes. And that was the light at the end of the tunnel. It opened up a new avenue.
Yeah. So anything dark, there's going to always be a light,
Absolutely.
right? You just got to keep through it. You got to be persistent. You got to be patient, right? Those two, if you can keep those two in mind, things will work out. Yeah. And be creative too.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. Very, very, very revealing. And thank you for the vulnerability and sharing all that. I know it's not easy to share that with the open public, but I'll be honest with you, every real estate investor has ups and downs like that. And I really honor you guys for sharing that story.
Yeah. And I think it's so important for people to hear those moments, because those are the pivotal moments of whether or not, that's where you make the decision. Is this going to make me or break me? Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And so the persistence and patience, I 100% agree. Like if you can just keep that, keep persistence on one shoulder, keep patience on the other shoulder, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward.
Right.
That's right.
And a positive outlook, positive attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Okay, well, we're getting close to head into the final part of the show right now, but I did want to ask one last question here. And it would be, if you had to do it all over again, what do you guys wish you would have known starting out?
That's easy. I mean, not easy, but I would say I would have educated myself a lot sooner. I would have got a mentor. I would have educated myself. And, knowing that we know what real estate can do for us and what it could do for everybody, just start off educating yourself.
Yeah, I probably would have gotten into real estate a lot sooner too. I mean, although if you think about what we did, we kind of did, but at the same time, it wasn't multifamily. And I was never thinking, we're from New York. So in New York, it's not a landlord friendly state. So we did not think about multifamily in that aspect. It was just like, but not thinking outside the box that there were other places you can actually invest. So, I mean, if educating yourself is definitely key. So understanding the different markets and where you can invest and getting into multifamily sooner would have been something I would have done
From the beginning.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Although
Earlier.
we got married in 99, we got our first house in 2002. And I told her, let's get a 2-family house. Let's get a 3-family house. We'll live in it. We'll house hack it. No way. I don't want someone living in an apartment. Because we came out of we were renting an apartment at first and we had someone above us and we heard them. Yeah, we heard everything up there. So it was kind of annoying. I understand that, but it's just a great way to start is with a multifamily,
With the house hack.
whether it's a 2-family, 3-family, or whatever you could afford, but just to house hack it right from the beginning.
So that's another mistake we made. I should have done that. I should have listened to him.
Yeah.
I should have. Yeah.
It's okay. That's where we're at because we had challenges and we faced them and we know better now,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's just a natural process. Like I think it's very natural for people to go from buying single family homes to doing multifamily because single families are very relatable, and obviously making the leap into your very first rental property is a big one, right? Especially if it's out of state or if it's in a different part of town and you're not going to live in it. That's a huge, huge leap for a lot of people who are just getting started. So I want to give you guys some credit there as well where it's due.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, let's go ahead and head into the rapid round part of the show. This is the segment where we ask all of our guests the same 5 questions. And so we like to put them in the show notes and then make comparisons. No, I'm just kidding.
Bring it on.
So let's go ahead and jump into it. Do you want to read them out?
Okay, so these questions are for each of you to answer. So the first one is, what book has had the biggest impact on you and why? And it doesn't have to be business.
Mm-hmm. Let me start. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, it's probably the typical, everybody says that, but it's the truth. I'm an honest person and that really changed me. changed my mindset, changed everything, how I look at life. And also The Go-Giver.
Yeah.
The Go-Giver, that was another excellent book to read.
Great book.
So the one I just recently read was Who, Not How.
Great book. We just
It's
finished
an
that too.
amazing book about trying to figure out. Sometimes we always think, how are we going to do this? But it's like, who can I tap into? And I think that is such a powerful book. So that's one I definitely recommend.
Wonderful. Yes. And next question is, if people wanted to emulate your success, what is the first actionable thing that they could do to follow in your footsteps?
Well, I think it's so important, again, if you want to get into the multifamily space, educate yourself.
Start off on podcasts. You can listen to a lot of podcasts. It'll open up your mind. And then, you'll see that it's a lot easier to get a mentor and to help you through the whole process that way, educate yourself as well.
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely educate yourself. Multifamily is definitely a different type of vehicle. You're buying a business. So
Gotta know what you're doing.
You could make some costly mistakes. So if you can kind of accelerate your investment in a sense, and learn from others that are doing it, because they say success leaves clues, right? Then why not? I think getting a mentor is definitely important.
And also surround yourself with like-minded people. Right?
Oh, for sure. Yes, definitely.
Go to meetups.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, and who knows, after people hear your podcast, you might be hearing from people asking you guys to be their mentors.
Right. You never know.
We're happy to help.
I love to
We're
help
honest people, and whatever we could do to
help anyone in a
spread the
community,
word.
we
Definitely.
would love to.
Wonderful, wonderful. And next question is, what small thing do most people not know about you?
Oh boy.
That's a good question.
What small thing do people not know about me?
Small thing.
I think I'm an open book. I mean, I could become, vulnerable and show you my vulnerability. So something small that people don't know about me.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, that is a tough question. Like I said, I'm an open book. So I am pretty much, I will tell you the way it is, the way it is for me too.
Okay.
You have any Wait, do you have any secrets?
I wish she wasn't here to say these.
And it could be like a small hobby that you guys like that,
or maybe you studied abroad or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Oh, got it. I mean, something that I have my hairdresser's license. I mean,
that's cool.
She's got multiple licenses.
I have my real estate license.
Nice.
Yeah, so I have those licenses. I have my teacher's license. I think I'm all licensed out.
That's very cool.
Driver's license.
Yeah, I love it.
And what about Jim?
For myself, okay, so I didn't go to college, maybe. I tried the college route. It wasn't for me, so I got into trades, which I'm so grateful that I did that, because it made me happy to do what I'm doing now, and I became successful at it, and
there's no regrets.
Oh, I'm back in college because I joined a community, and I'm learning something new every day. And
you're in financial college,
and
financial education college.
I'm learning on something that I like doing.
Excellent.
Amazing. And how do you guys like to unwind and restore your creative juices individually?
Yeah.
Date night?
No, I like
Individually.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so the way I unwind is, I love to listen to spiritual music. That's just who I am. And that's how I unwind. It just gives me a sense of gratitude. And, listening also, I'm a very faithful person. So I unwind by definitely reading devotionals and creating a sense of gratefulness in my life. I unwind that way, yeah.
Excellent.
Piggyback on her too. I mean, I feel the same way of what she just spoke about. And I also, honestly, I like being outside. I just like on my property, I like doing things. I like taking care of my grass and my landscape, and being outside. I have time. I have, a moment for myself, and I get to think about, everything in life, and it gives me time to separate, family and everything else from being myself. I guess it relaxes me too to do that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
And last question is there something that you and your family like to do together?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely vacation. I mean, that's number one. It's been a little hard now with my daughter just went off to college, and now my son's going to college this year as well. But besides that,
I think even like we sit down for dinner,
every night
together, when they are home and they're not off at college, I think that's important to create a sense of family, and to unwind on the day, like, well, how was your day, and have a connection. So I think dinner time is a great time that we have with our family as well, with our children. Yeah, besides vacation. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
Vacation.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. That's fantastic. We are so happy that you joined us today and you spent some of your Saturday morning with us. I really appreciate that. Or actually afternoon, wherever you are.
For us, it's afternoon.
But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. And now I just want to kind of give you guys an open mic to see, how people can get a hold of you, what you're looking for, and just what's happening in your world right now in general.
Yeah, so if they want to get a hold of us, we're both on Facebook. We're on Facebook together. It's Francesca and Jim Apostolou on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, Francesca Apostolou, or they can email us, Francesca, FRANCESCA @Niveau, NIVEAU properties.com. So that's how they get in touch with us. We're just here just to kind of educate or help anyone that is looking to get into multifamily. If they thought about it, whether it's being an active or passive investor, we would just love to help and try to guide them in the right direction.
Or if anybody's looking, down the Southeast, we're looking in the Southeast for multifamily. So if anybody's, has deals and needs some help or
selling,
yeah,
that as well.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. We'll go ahead and put your email addresses and the handles that you mentioned in the show notes so that people can more easily refer to them on the audio and the YouTube version of this. So thank you guys so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And thank you, listener, for listening all the way to the end. We really, really appreciate you as well. Wherever you're listening to this, please do like and subscribe so that, as I like to say, the algorithm gods can move us up the chain so we get more exposure to more people and help others find out a way to create more passive income to help leave the rat race that is their W-2, if you choose to do so.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again for coming on. And this is Derek.
And this is Sophie.
And we're signing off. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.